Hello and welcome to another edition of About Town. We're here on a beautiful sunny day at the Richland Uptown to talk about cool desert nights. My guests today are Lori Matson, the President and CEO of the Tri-City Regional Chamber of Commerce, and Dan Young of O'Reilly Auto Parts, one of this event's sponsors and a member of two classic car clubs. Welcome.
Glad to be here.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh. And before we actually jump into kind of the questions, these beautiful cars behind us, tell me about those.
Well, we have several members that are involved with our committee that have these cars, and they were generous enough, Dan's one of them, generous enough to bring their cars down so we could have a nice backdrop here in front of Uptown.
So Dan, which is yours and what is it?
Well, mine is the 1957 Chevrolet, the black and white car. The unique thing about that is that was my high school car. So I've owned the car since 1967, so it's got a lot of stories to tell. I've been a Chevy guy for a number of years on that, but I think, you know, the cool desert nights, it's really about the cars and it's about the people and the area and the community. So I mean, a lot of cars come in from the west side. We have a tremendous amount of local cars that come out too.
Well, you must have been a really careful high school driver then to have it be in such a great condition now.
I really can't say that because my children might be watching.
Oh, okay. We don't want to tell them. Well, let's talk about the event. This is the 18th year. How did it get started and how has it changed?
Well, I think a lot of it actually started as a different event. It started out as a classic Chevy Club event, and it was called the Hot One. And it was in the 80s, and then worked its way through a number of years. And the main throw-off from it is that people from the west side come over, because obviously we have nice warm weather, it's dry, and it's, having been in Seattle and gone to school there, it's wet. So, and a lot of the cars come over here, and it's a vacation. It's a nice destination. We have the river, we have the parks on that. So it actually started as the Hot One, and then evolved after a few years. It ended. It kind of stopped on that. So we were without an event for a while, and then a group of people decided, let's call it the Cool Desert Nights. And it started, and now here we are 18 years later, pushing the 20-year mark.
Well, I have to say, I think from a marketing perspective, Cool Desert Nights has a little more appeal than the Hot One, even maybe for folks from the wet side.
I guess you could say that.
Lori, when and where is this year's event?
Well, this event is scheduled for June 23rd, 24th, and 25th, and the majority of it will take place right here at Uptown. So we do have some other activities throughout the Tri-Cities, but the majority of the event is Saturday's event on the 25th, and it's right here at Uptown and in the Jefferson Park across the street.
Okay, so a nice convenient location.
Yes, yeah. Absolutely, right in the center of Richland.
All right, we like that. What kinds of vehicles do you expect to participate and how many?
Well, we're expecting about 700 registered cars again this year, which is about what we had last year as well. And this show is an open show, so any types of cars can participate. We have cars before the 1930s all the way up through kind of the post-80s. Probably most of the cars are in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, probably in that range.
And how many people does this draw in addition to those who are bringing cars?
Well, yeah, you know, with 700 cars, we average, you know, if you count the person that owns the car and they bring a spouse and a couple of children or so, there's a couple thousand there. And then the event itself throughout the 3 days draws thousands of people down here. The event on Thursday over here at Dairy Queen is getting bigger every year. There's hundreds, if not thousands, of people that mill around through the show and shine. And you know, if you counted all of the people that line up on the streets in Richland during the cruise on Friday night, as well as all of those who come down on Saturday and look at the cars, there's thousands of people.
So clearly, from an economic standpoint, this is a great benefit to Richland and the Tri-Cities.
Oh, absolutely.
Do you put numbers on those?
Yes, we do. We actually receive some hotel motel funding from the City of Richland, and for that we have to provide some pretty specific information on our visitors. And we believe that the economic impact to the Tri-Cities, and most of it is in Richland, is about $300,000 over the course of those 3 days.
Well, that's very significant.
Yes, it is.
Certainly.
Absolutely is.
Yes. Dan, from a car owner's perspective, what's the benefit of having it here?
The benefit of having it here more than anything else is, first off, we have the luxury of nice weather. I mean, people like to come out in the sun and enjoy the sun. Our community has a lot to offer when you figure, you know, determining the river. Here you have a river, great parks. Richland has great parks, so not only are the people showing their cars, but the families have the ability to go down to the park, which is nice, lay on the grass, enjoy the water. Small children, even big kids, you know, want to go jump in the river and that as well. So the biggest advantage is, and plus you get it's sometimes in the past when I've shown my cars in different events, it's a vacation. You get the ability to go different places and do different things. One of the things that I've noticed here is a lot of people are repeat visitors. They like coming over here, and I think it attests to the fact the city of Richland, the city of Kennewick and Pasco, it's an inviting, very open communities, and people want to come here, and then they come back. Some of them move.
So do you have members in your car club that maybe have come to an earlier event and have liked it so much they've
I have about 3 people that have moved from Seattle because, of course, having gone there and been there a little bit in my high school time and college time, you get tired of the rain. And it's, we call it, it's a dry heat here. It's not a wet heat. So,
that is very
but it's
true.
beautiful, beautiful place to come, very destination from a car person. And then it's just, you get to meet a lot of people and really forge new relationships. I mean, car people talk about cars, and then it leads to family friendships as well.
All right. Laura, you mentioned the hotel motel funding that the event receives. How else is the city involved?
Well, we work pretty closely with Economic Development Office, both Gary and Trish. They help us with our planning of the event, as well as working with the Uptown merchants here. We really kind of take over their parking lot for a weekend, so they help us in that area. We work with the Parks and Rec Department, and then the day of the event, we have a lot of assistance from both the police department and the fire department as well. So we really rely a lot on the city and their partnership to help us out.
I know through the years it's moved around different aspects, different areas of Richland, and it seems to have settled here. Why is this a particularly good location right here?
Well, again, it's a Richland event. So if we're looking at Richland, there aren't really a lot of places where you can park 700 cars, and this really is in the heart of Richland. And with the park across the street, it makes it really nice for those who prefer to be on the grass and under the shade of the trees. The cruise is really convenient to, just the way Richland is set up. It's got a really convenient cruise route, and the sidewalks and whatnot for people to put their lawn chairs up and to watch the cruise. We're off the highway, and to close the streets or to close parts of the streets is fairly easy to make that happen.
Okay, and go ahead.
Another good thing about it too, and on Lori's, I don't want to thunder on her parade, is that the park is a tremendous thing, but the other thing is the proximity of the hotels.
Sure.
There's a lot of hotels around here, so people, as a car person, once you park your car, you just want to leave it, and there you can walk. There's many different restaurants, and then plus the park, but you can walk to your hotel if you want to go back to your room on that. So I mean, there's a lot of good things about that. I know the biggest draw for years, when we had it many years ago, the park was the main thing. I mean, people will line up to park their car in the park at 4 a.m. in the morning, and
absolutely.
We have our parking crew out there already to not let them sneak in before then.
Okay, we'll talk about volunteering.
Yeah, that's right.
I know that's a huge piece.
That is.
Before we move away from the benefits, obviously there are the financial benefits, the hotels, the restaurants, the other businesses, but besides the financial benefits, how else does this benefit our community?
Well, in every community there are those signature events that really cause community pride, and the Tri-Cities really has several of them, and one of them is Cool Desert Nights. And so it gives people something to look forward to, and really just adds to our quality of life. And the Chamber of Commerce, we're a business organization, and most of the year we're working on business issues and working with small businesses and working on advocacy, but we also have a quality of life part of our mission, and so that's why we've maintained this event, and we continue to work on Cool Desert Nights. So we really feel like we have a quality of life mission.
Okay.
It's a quality event, and it's evolved into a tremendous event.
Absolutely.
And Dan, since you have cars and you go to other shows, how does this event differ from other car shows that you might go to or that are available?
Well, probably the biggest thing is location. I mean, different car shows, there's parking lot car shows where the cars come and do a parking lot. There's different other events sponsored by, let's say, good guys that go to fairgrounds, and they tie into racing as if there's a racetrack nearby. I think the biggest thing for us and our community is the fact this is an event that people come to, like to come to, and we have a backdrop of a lot of green, the river, and many other things to do. Sometimes when you go to other events, once you get there, you're there unless you have a backup car. The beauty here is that we even have a transit system that moves around and can take people, let's say, to the mall if they wanted to go to the mall down in Columbia Center, or if they wanted to go further down to the river where the hydros run, so that people have never been here and say, well, okay, this is where the hydroplanes run. So I think from a standpoint of different events, each one has its uniqueness. This one has grown over the years, more so from a parking lot event to more of a family event. I mean, a lot of people bring the families, and I think that's what the Chamber wants to see more of, as well as a sponsor the same way. Involve the family, because they want to come here.
And my understanding is that almost any kind of park can participate in any kind of vehicle. Is that correct? It's not just a certain vintage?
Pretty much so. It's an open event, which means almost all cars are there. We have British cars, we have old street rods, we have restored cars. I mean, there's quite a mixed group of people, and it always evolves. Cars change over the years. I mean, being a diehard like I was street rods in high school and that, and now it's changing. We have a lot of import cars and British cars and that, but I mean, some events are tied in specifically to certain years. The beauty of this one is it's open to everybody, and that's really good for the community and good for the Chamber.
Well, I would think it helps draw a larger crowd just because people are interested in certain areas. Well, let's talk about the specific events. You said it begins on Thursday, June 23rd?
It does,
okay.
It does.
And
Thursday, well, we start at the track on Thursday at 5, and we do an all-city cruise, and this is open to everybody. So not only do the registered cars participate, but people with just their regular cars sometimes like to cruise as well, or people who maybe aren't going to be around for the weekend and actually participate in the show. But we line up, there's usually a couple hundred cars that participate in this, and we now go from Pasco through Kennewick and in Richland, and our ending point is over here at the Dairy Queen. We close Jadwin right here and really take over Dan's parking lot and Tom's parking lot at Dairy Queen, as well as this whole side of the Uptown parking lot here on the Jadwin side. And then Friday we register cars for several hours from 11 to 5. We're going to be down at the Richland Red Lion this year registering cars, and then we have our participants cruise that starts at 7 p.m. and runs till about 9. We also have a out at Desert Wind Winery in Prosser, we have a mini show and shine from 10 to 2. So we're trying to get those people maybe that come over from the west side who maybe want to stop and participate in a little show and shine and make a little rest stop in Prosser before they make their way over. And then this year we're really excited to be working with Jackson's on our street dances again. So our street dance on Friday night is at the Jackson's, so down on Lee and George Washington Way. And that dance runs from 8 till midnight. He's got some great bands lined up. And then, as Dan mentioned, on Saturday, it really is true, the cars start showing up at 4 a.m. So, we get here at 5, and usually there's cars already here before we're here. And so we start registering cars. The Kiwanis do a pancake breakfast over in the gazebo, so people can, get here, park their car, and then leave their car and go have a chance to have breakfast. And then we register cars until noon, and then we've got activities really all day long. The show and shine runs basically from 9 to 4. We've got slow drags going on George Washington Way that the Richland Fire Department help us with, and then we do our judging for several hours, and then our award ceremony is at 3:30, where we announce we've got 25 prizes we're giving out, and then we end with our street dance again at Jackson's from 9 p.m. till midnight. So it's a very busy 3 days.
It sounds like a very full weekend.
It is.
Lots to do.
And people are very tired afterwards.
They've had too
very
much fun.
tired, but very excited. Yes.
Oh gosh.
Especially the chamber group.
Yeah.
Well, let's
and all
talk
the
about
volunteers.
that. How many volunteers does it take to put on this 3-day event?
Well, it really takes hundreds of volunteers. We have a small, very hardworking committee. We have a chamber staff of 9, and then we have people from the car clubs, like for instance, the Desert Rats help us with our cruise on Friday night, and they have 40 families. So there's 40 members of the car club who stand at various points in the cruise route and help to just sort of make sure people are following the rules, and that there aren't any safety issues, and just to help the cruise keep running. So that's 40 families. So 40 people with a few family members is at least 100 people or so. And then Saturday is really the day that require most of the volunteers. So there's several dozen, maybe 50 or so volunteers here throughout the day.
Are your volunteers generally the same folks year after year? Do you recruit new ones?
Yes, as a matter of fact, one of the things that I found particularly interesting when the chambers merged 5 years ago, and the area chamber merged with the Richland chamber, and the chamber I worked for took on this event. I was so interested to see that we have these volunteers that really aren't involved with the chamber in any other way except during Cool Desert Nights. So it's really been rewarding to work with this whole different group of people that have helped, like Dan and others that have been with this event really since the beginning and have help us really, because I'm not a car person. I really appreciate it, but I don't travel to car shows, and so to have the folks that have been involved with the event from really the get-go and that are the car club folks to really help us and lend their expertise, I think it really helps us put on a better show.
And Dan, you mentioned that you belong to 2 car clubs. Let's give those a plug and tell us how they're involved.
Well, I belong to the Classic Chevrolet Club and then the Vintage Chevrolet Club of America. Both clubs are pretty much an affiliate that if you're a car person, you belong to different variety of clubs, just for involvement, different functions. I've served at different capacities from president all the way down to volunteer. Something to mention on the volunteers with the chamber, we have a core group of people that always come back, which is great, because once you get them acclimated, so to speak, that you just let them do what they do best on that. So with the car clubs, it's great because different car clubs travel all over the place. And once I've been to California before, you go down to I didn't know. Oh, I know about that event up there. So I mean, some of the neat things about it is that you can spread the word through different car clubs as well.
Lori, you mentioned using Dan's parking lot, Riley Auto Parts, and of course some others in this area. I know you have sponsors, and how important are those partnerships? Who else do you partner with?
Well, as everything the chamber does, it definitely takes partnerships, and we're firm believers that you really don't get anything done, or you don't do it well, unless you've got people helping you. So our presenting sponsor again this year is Hapo Community Credit Union. They're a tremendous help, not only financially, but the support that they lend just in making this event happen, and just the excitement that they have for it. They have this official sponsor of summer. They sponsor a number of events throughout the summer, so it's been really fun for us to kind of tag along with that with this event. The city of Richland obviously is a very important partner, and then we have several other sponsors that not only lend financial support, but whether they're in-kind sponsors. For instance, we have, as we mentioned, Dairy Queen. We have Legacy Ford, Cadillac Medical Center, the Port of Benton, the Hanford Reach, Les Schwab Tires, O'Reilly, and a number of folks who maybe it's a small electric company and they come and help us with the electrical for a day. So we've got great chamber members, and we try to utilize our members and offer them an opportunity for some visibility if they'll help us with this event.
I think that anyone who's involved with a large-scale event can appreciate the work that goes into it from the volunteers and the sponsors and the other participants, but oftentimes people who just come to an event and enjoy it so much just don't see all that behind the scenes, and it's really rather remarkable when you think of the hours and the dollars that go into making a presentation like Cool Desert Nights.
Oh, it is, absolutely.
You mentioned a few minutes ago you have 25 awards to give. What kinds of categories are those in?
Well, we have everything from, again, we have different classes starting with the pre-30s all the way up to 70s and 80s. We have a work in progress. Last year we had a gentleman bring a car on a trailer, so the car doesn't even run, but he's working on it. And so, and we've got trucks. We have let's see, what are all
sports cars?
Okay, and several cool rides. So these are just cars that our judges think are just cool cars, and so we get that. We do a best in show, a people's choice. The mayor of Richland gets to select a prize or a winner. The chamber gets to select a winner. Hapo, as the presenting sponsor, gets to pick a car as well. So I think we're really well rounded in that some of them are just kind of fun awards, and then others are pretty serious, and these people obviously put a lot of time and money. They're very proud of their cars. Our judging committee does a great job because unlike me, these people really know about the car, and when they look at a car, they can tell if it's been done well, and it isn't just about the chrome and the fancy paint job. They can look inside or look under the hood and look for things that maybe others wouldn't. So, and yet some of the awards are really just because of just a random car that someone thinks is kind of cool.
I love the Work in Progress award. I think that has to be encouraging. I'm sure these people are enthusiasts and they're going to finish the car anyway, but somehow to get a attaboy for something that you're partway into must be really great.
Well, and it's really neat. A lot of these people who have done a huge job on these cars of restoring them will have, when they park their car, they'll have a storyboard or pictures, framed pictures, and they'll show the car really just down to the base of the car with no tires or wheels on it, and they then take pictures of, when they started adding all of the parts and the engine and the transmission, and then you finally see this car, and you really realize that these people are very passionate about their cars and really excited to show them off as well.
Some of them started out on a flatbed trailer with multiple pieces.
Yes.
So it's the work in progress is exciting. It also gives the folks a car that they can bring. And not, a lot of times it's not all about the shiny car. It's also about the cars that are, being done and being built.
That you'll get to see in a finished form in a year or two.
Well, sometimes it takes longer than a year or two.
Okay. Dion, what other car shows are maybe available in the Northwest if folks are interested in going to some other places?
Well, there's a lot of them. There's what I mentioned earlier was Good Guys, which is in Spokane. This year there's going to be a Super Chevy event in Spokane at the Raceway Park. It's the first one, and my gosh, I can remember maybe over 15 years. Wenatchee has a great fun run. Walla Walla Wheeling has one in September. A lot of times there's different, they call them a calendar of events. And when you open it up, and I know at the Chamber we opened up one, and we're talking multiple pages, so there's always something going on every weekend, either a small show, a large show, or a traveling show. So the Northwest has a lot to offer. One of the main things is that when people come from the West Coast to the East, we have the wine country, which is very unique to the state of Washington. And they can travel through the wine country and see things, and obviously people stop and buy things, and that's what we want them to do is come back and spend money on our side of the mountain.
All right. Lori, we were just talking about how much effort goes into an event, and I understand that you're already planning maybe next year's event, even though this one hasn't happened yet. What kinds of things are you working on that far in advance?
Well, as our committee meets and as we research other shows, there's always great ideas that we'd like to bring to this show, but you kind of have to do it in stages. You can't do all these new things in the first year. So, we're really focused on just growing the event, but yet making it a quality event. When people drive, whether they're here or whether they drive from out of town and they're spending money on gas and they're spending money in hotels, we really want it to be an enjoyable experience for the participants. And then also for the people who come down to the show, we want to have more activities for kids and families or the spouses of the car, people who might want to, wander around a little bit and find something else to do rather than sit in front of the car all day. And and by doing those types of things, whether it's demonstrations, whether it's contests, whether it's entertainment, we just have lots of ideas and really lots of interest this year in some new things. And we these people that travel around, like Dan and others on our committee, can bring back great ideas, and we can look at incorporating those into our future events.
If people want to get more information about this year's event, where can they do so?
Well, there's a special Cool Desert Nights website, so it's cooldesertnights.com. You can also go to the Chamber's website, which is tricityregionalchamber.com, or you can call the Chamber, and our number is 736-0510, and any of us can help people out. Stop by the Chamber office, or probably those would be the best places.
And is registration open for those who want to bring cars?
Yes, we already have a couple, I think about 150 cars are already registered. And so we're busy registering cars. We've got vendors that we're registering as well. So when people are here, they'll have things that they can purchase, souvenirs and things, as well as food and beverages and treats and snacks throughout the day as well.
Okay, what kind of souvenirs do you buy when you go to a car show?
A lot of times it's the t-shirts. It's all about the
right.
t-shirts, it's about the hats. What I have done in the past, a lot of people, they like a logoed shirt from where the event they went to, and it stands for something. So you're wearing it. Let's say you're wearing it in Boise, Idaho, from Tri-Cities, Washington. Well, okay. And it also is great advertising for the chamber, for everybody around here on that. So, I mean, I know there's different logoed shirts on that, but it's usually the T-shirts, it's hats, and then if you've never been here, we have a tremendous amount of other souvenirs to see.
Okay. Lori, you talked a lot about the volunteers involved. Do you need more volunteers?
Oh, absolutely.
And how can people volunteer?
Yes, have them call the chamber, again, 736-0510, and ask for Jessica. She's our event director that's working on this particular event. So we would love help. And people, if somebody just has a couple of hours to help us, whether it's Thursday, Friday, or Saturday, we would love the help. So, and all of our volunteers get a souvenir T-shirt. So we'd absolutely really appreciate the help.
Okay, that's great. We just have a few minutes left, and gosh, there's so many aspects of this weekend, whether it's looking at the cars or enjoying the drags or whatever it may be. But if you just had to name one reason that people should come to this event, what would it be, Dan?
I think the biggest thing is the area, the weather. I mean, it's an event that you're going to see, and you're going to see the cars. That's a given. But I think a lot of it is that we have a lot to offer. We have the river. I mean, river and parks, and it's just a neat, low-key getaway from the big city. I know I have a daughter that's going to come over here, which I know she wants to get away from the big city, and it's lower key. It's a great place to visit. Event is a tremendous event that we put on, and the chamber has been involved in it, and it's only going to grow more of it. I think the big thing for me, I love the weather.
I just realized one of the things we haven't mentioned is cost. Is there a cost to the participants and just to the people that are wandering around?
Yes, there is a small cost to register a car. We have a couple different packages, so it's between $30 and $50 to register a car. To actually come down and walk around throughout all 3 days, there is no charge at all for that. There is a fee to go to the dances, so that that's a separate charge there as well. But for the most part, it's a really really reasonably priced event. You can bring your whole family down here and really not spend a dime if you don't want to.
Okay, great. And let me give you the chance to say, what one reason would you like to suggest to people they should
Well,
not
I
miss
totally
cool
agree with the weather, and it's as we sit here today, it might be a little breezy, but it's absolutely beautiful. But I think one of the things that I really appreciate about this event is that that it kind of brings this sense of community. Richland has really done a great job of maintaining kind of that small town feel, and we're right here in the middle of Richland. The traffic's pretty light around here, at least on the weekends, and you can just park your car and wander around here and just enjoy the sunshine, spend the day with your family and learn about cars or visit with the car people or run into old friends. When you get down here, you realize that the Tri-Cities really isn't that large of a place, and you always see people and it's really just one of our signature events in the Tri-Cities, and especially for Richland.
Okay, well, Lori, Jan, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Excited about Cool Desert Nights. We'll look forward to that June 23rd through the 25th.
Thank you.
Alrighty.
We appreciate it too.
Okay, and thank you for joining us today for this edition of About Town. For the City of Richland, I'm Candace Andrews.